Journalists killed in Paris. Shoppers killed in a Jewish market. Over 100 school children in Pakistan. Scores of innocents in northern Nigeria. A foiled terror plot in Belgium. A foiled lone wolf attack on our capital. All as our president continues to release Gitmo detainees, the worst of the worst, the ones designated as high risk for re-engagement, previously passed over for release because of the significant dangers they posed, and some eager to return to the battlefield. And this week, while reports come in that al-Qaeda in Yemen is responsible for some of these attacks, the Obama administration releases 5 terrorists from, you guessed it, Yemen. No worries, though. The White House says that only 6% of those released are recidivists who actually returned to the battlefield. You know, numbers are a funny thing. That 6% is based on only those released during the Obama administration and confirmed to have returned to the battlefield. Yet our own Director of National Intelligence says the number is closer to 30%, taking into account all Gitmo detainees, those confirmed and suspected of returning to the battlefield. But does it even matter? 6%? 30%? Here's what matters. If we're going to risk replenishing the enemy in a time of war, then we must have sanctions when they violate the conditions of their release. Why aren't we doing anything about this? Example, a criminal violates his parole. He's sent back to jail. So if a detainee terrorist returns to the battlefield, then the country that agreed to house and monitor him must suffer some consequence. Example, if Qatar, to whom the 5 terrorists were released in the trade for the alleged deserter Bergdahl, does not monitor those terrorists, and they then return to the battlefield, then all funding to Qatar should be cut off. And don't give me this hogwash that Gitmo is the reason why terrorism is expanding. That's like saying that Alcatraz is the reason people are killing each other. We're not winning the war on terror, and whether it's the refusal to accurately identify our enemy or the failure to have a strategy that recognizes both the danger and the reach of that enemy, we're just not winning. And all this hoopla about airstrikes is overinflating, grandstanding exaggeration. ISIS is bigger, richer, and more determined than it's ever been. Consider this. In 26 years, we haven't been able to win this war. And now America faces lone wolves, sleeper cells, and network attacks. Some think, though, that war is the only answer.
You go wherever in the world the terrorists are and you kill them. You do your best to exterminate them, and then you leave, and you leave behind smoking ruins and crying widows.
I believe that war is war. I believe that people who kill deserve to be killed. I believe that without the will to destroy the enemy, without the purpose of winning at all costs, we simply cannot and will not succeed. Now, there are 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. No one knows what percent are radical, and that certainly doesn't include the non-Muslim Westerners who decide to become radical. So how do we win? We don't win by returning the enemy to the battlefield. We don't win by failing to identify the enemy or by cutting back the military to pre-World War II levels, or by removing the word Islamic from in front of extremist in White House talking points. We don't win by apologizing for Americans who simply expressed their First Amendment free speech right. And we don't win by allowing citizens who've joined radicalized groups to remain here in the United States. We don't win when we treat jihad as a law enforcement problem, giving constitutional rights to terrorists. We don't win by dismantling intel programs that put undercover officers in mosques and Muslim areas. And we don't win by scheduling another conference. We don't win by leaving our border open. So how do we win? We win by cutting off funding to Arab countries that support jihad. We win by cutting off funding to countries like Turkey that line up their tanks to watch the killing of the Kurds like they're at a drive-in movie. We win by forcing Arab countries to duplicate Egypt's refusal to tolerate Islamic extremists. We win when we stop talking politics. Who's to blame? Who started it? Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's right? Who's left? And we win when we start talking solutions. And we don't win through that hug diplomacy. And we certainly don't do it by showing up a week late with a guy with a guitar to sing "You've Got a Friend." They should stop talking friend and start being a friend. And that's my open.